I feel honored, and I think it's a great privilege to be able to speak with all of you tonight. My name is Father Patrick. I'm Peruvian, though my name is not very Peruvian. My grandpa was from Australia, and he moved into Peru, and I arrived to St. Paul 18 months ago. And Kevin and I are good friends. We work together, and he graciously invited me to share with you tonight a brief talk. And the title of the talk is Holiness is Good for Business. I think it's a provocative title, but I think the title can be a little bit misleading. Holiness is good for business sounds a little bit like if you're holy, then everything will go your way, and if you're holy, your business will flourish and prosper. And it seems like what we're saying is choose holiness, because if you choose holiness, then you will be richer. And that's certainly not what we're trying to say tonight. Because we're not saying that holiness is subordinated to business. The point we're trying to make is when holiness is the center of your life and loving God becomes the most important thing that you strive for, this will permeate every single aspect of your life. And this will also permeate the way that you conduct yourself in business and in your professional life. So the point that I'm trying to make today and explore with you is, how is it when someone takes seriously holiness for their life, how does this show in their professional life, in their business? And my religious order, Pro Ecclesia Santa, exists for only one reason. Our charism is to live and promote the vocation to holiness. That's why we exist, because we believe that every single one of us here present, baptized, is called to be a saint. We're not just called to be good Catholics. We're not just called to be decent human beings who go to church on Sunday. God has chosen each one of you and has also chosen me to be holy, to be a saint. And what does it mean to be a saint or to be holy? It means to practice heroic virtues. To love God in the heroic manner that the saints did. And our religious order exists so that we can share this vocation with the world. So that we can remind every single human being, and especially those who are baptized, what is their purpose in life and where they should strive for. Because my sense is that we Catholics, we settle for too little. We settle for too little. We settle with the idea that I want to be a decent Catholic. I want to be a not too bad Catholic who dies in the state of grace or more or less goes to heaven. And the message that we want to communicate to the world is, no, you're not meant to settle for little. You're meant to understand that you've been created to be a saint and to be holy. So today, what I want to explore with you in this brief talk is, how is it that when we aspire to holiness, this shows in our professional life? And how is it that when we truly strive for a connection with God, this becomes evident in the way that we conduct ourselves in business and in our professional life? So the first thing I want to say is, when a person strives for holiness, his professional life is not disconnected from his spiritual life, but everything is a unity. And I'm saying this because sometimes people have a religious life on Sunday and have a very different life throughout the week. But what should happen is that you're striving for holiness and your love for God should be present every single day. And what you do on Sunday should reflect from Monday to Saturday, or from Monday to Friday, from every working weekday. But my sense is that sometimes Catholics, we're disconnecting our faith with our work. And our faith is reserved for the weekend, but our work is kept to ourselves. So I want to illuminate this point a little bit further. So I want to share with you a reflection from the book of Exodus that you've all heard, but perhaps I'm going to shed a different light over it. So do you guys remember when Moses came up to the Pharaoh and he said, let us go because the people of Israel have to worship in the desert? That's what Moses said to the Pharaoh. He said, you have to let us go because we're being called to worship in the desert. And Pharaoh, he wanted to find a compromise with Moses. So he said, you can worship, but you got to worship here in Egypt. And Moses said, no, we can't worship here. God is calling us into the desert so that we can worship in the desert. So Pharaoh had a new idea. He said, you can go into the desert, but only men can go into the desert. Because only men are the ones who are meant to offer the sacrifices. And Moses said, no, we can't go by ourselves into the desert. We have to go with all our family. So the Pharaoh hit again, and he said, okay, the men and your families, you can go into the desert, but you have to leave your cattle here. And Moses said, we can't go without our cattle because we don't know what God will ask us to sacrifice in the desert. So we have to go with our family and with our cattle. So this idea of sacrificing in the desert, was it an excuse that Moses was using, like a strategy to get out of Egypt? So this is what happens. Moses says we have to walk 3 days into the desert to offer a sacrifice. So this is what happens. Moses doesn't walk for 3 days. He walks for 3 months into the desert, and then what happens? He goes into Sinai, and he receives the 10 Commandments. He also receives the instructions of how the cult should be offered. But this is the insight. He received the 10 Commandments in the desert because in the 10 Commandments, he finds the formula for true worship. How is it possible that the 10 Commandments become a formula for worship? Because our true worship is our life conducted in justice before God. So the true worship that we are meant to offer God is our life conformed to His commandments. So let me bring this back to the point that I was trying to make. Holiness is good for business because it means that each one of you, when you aspire for holiness, you have unity in your life. Because you know that your life with God is not separated from your professional life, but you understand that the true worship that you can offer to God is the worship of your everyday life given to Him. So let me ask you a question. Do you conceive your professional life, your day-to-day work? We were listening, one of you guys is a plumber. Do we understand our day-to-day life as an offering to God? As our sacrifice of praise to God? Let me make the question even more specific. This day, before you went to your workplace, before you started engaging with your responsibilities, did you understand your own work as your offering to God, as your sacrifice to God? Did you offer up what you were meant to do? Did you understand that what you were going to do that day was your true offering to God? Did you understand that your own pathway to holiness was showing itself today in the work that you were meant to do with love for the Lord? So what happens is, I think, is that Catholics, we don't make the sacrifice of our work. We keep our work to ourselves. We worship on Sunday and then we keep our work to ourselves during the week. But I think that holiness is meaningful and holiness can impact our business. Because when you understand that your life is meant to glorify God, then you bring everything in your life to His glorification. And you keep nothing to yourself, but you make everything that you are and that you do an offering to God. So is your work an offering to God? Do you offer up what you do day to day as a sacrifice of praise and thanksgiving and worship to the Lord? Or are you keeping the work to yourself and separating your spiritual life from your day-to-day work? So let's take a step forward. If our work is a sacrifice to God, if our work is a gift to God, if our business is a gift to the Lord, this means that what we're meant to give is the best. Let me put you an example. And I'll take this example from my own life, something that I saw a couple of days ago. Today I was speaking with a mother who was very anxious because her daughter was going to study abroad. This mom was from Lima, from Peru. And something very different culturally is that moms, Hispanic moms, I can say that because I'm Hispanic. Hispanic moms are much more, they want to keep everyone close, especially their daughters and their sons. So this mom was all, worried because her daughter was going to study to Belgium for a semester. And her daughter did a beautiful gift to her mom. She made a little box that really took a long time, and in each box, she made handcrafted hearts. And she put a note and said, "Mom, when you feel that you miss me, go back to this box, open the box, and in the hearts, you will remember how much I love you." I thought it was a beautiful gift. But what's the insight here? When you love someone, the gift that you offer someone, you want it to be the best possible gift. Because you think the person deserves a great gift. So, the point I'm trying to make is, when we understand our work and our day-to-day work as a gift, and we know that the gift is offered to God, are you meant to offer a mediocre gift to God or an excellent gift to God? We know that the answer is we're meant to offer an excellent gift because He deserves something truly extraordinary. So I think that holiness is relevant to business because when you make your work an offering, you understand that your offering has to be excellent. So my sense is this: when a person starts conceiving their day-to-day work as a gift to God, what you give God has to be of the highest quality. So then I think that your workday becomes to be transformed, because I think we get less clumsy, less slothful, less distracted, because our day is an offering to Him. So for example, for us, man, when your day is truly meant to be a beautiful offering to the Lord, I speak for myself. I strive to be more concentrated. I strive to put away YouTube. Right? Because my day is meant to be an offering. An offering of love. Not an offering of self-indulgence to myself, but an offering of love. So you see, men and women, when you truly strive for holiness and you truly strive to make your day an offering of love and perfection to God, you work better. Because it is not only for you, it is also and especially for Him. So the day starts to be transformed. Because the day doesn't revolve about you indulging in yourself, but you truly trying to make the best of your time. How often as a priest do I hear people say, "I've been slacking during job, I've been using working hours, to be distracted." And this happens to all of us. I think there's a very small percentage of people who are hyper-focused and never get distracted. But most of us, we're not like that, unfortunately. But I think that when we strive to be connected with God truly with all our hearts like the saints, we want to make our day a gift. And because we love the person that we offer the gift to, we want to make our gift as best as possible. So, let me ask you this question. Question for evaluation. With how much love and dedication do you work? Is sometimes your work sloppy, half-committed, slothful, distracted, losing time? I think we're much more prone to conduct ourselves in that way when the work is only for ourselves. But let me add something else. I think that also when you know who you're offering the work to, the offering itself is more beautiful and better. Let's go back to the plumber. If you're a plumber and you're offering your day as a gift to God, not only are you more invested in working better, but you're more invested in offering a final product that's better to God. And this is the key, I think, why our faith has produced so much beauty when it comes to architecture and art and music. Because love brings beauty and brings perfection. So my sense is that when our work is an offering of love, we even try to make the final product something better. We try to make of what we can offer the Lord something more beautiful, more perfect, more finished. And I think the second consequence of making of your day an offering of love to the Lord is if your day is an offering of love, anything sinful cannot enter into the equation. So my sense is that when you make your work a gift, you work more honorably and with more justice. You become more fair. And anything that would be sinful, you turn away because your work is a gift. So I want to share something with you from Peru. I come from a third world country, right? And I was looking at a very interesting statistic, and it said that basically what defines third world countries is corruption. Institutions do not work. People are not reliable. They say they will do something and they do something else. And the greatest patrimony of a first world country is not so much its resources, because if you see a country like Japan, it's a small country. It certainly has its own resources, but Peru doesn't lack resources. What really distinguishes a first world country from a second world country or third world country is the honesty and the working of its institutions. So something that plagues all third world countries is corruption. And ministering as a priest to lay people in Peru, something that I encountered so frequently is, Father, it is impossible to advance in my profession being honest. I'll give you examples, right? So I had people that I knew that were in the construction business. And in Peru, if you wanted to do for example, a lot of people bought houses and they made buildings, right? Apartments. So you had obviously a revenue. But they told me, Father, if you don't bribe the people that work in the municipal, do you say? If you don't bribe the people that work in the municipal office, your file will take 6 years. If you bribe the person in the municipal office, your file will get ready in 6 months. I also had conversations with lawyers, and they said the same thing. Father, the only way that a judge will see this case is if you bribe this judge. Is if you give him an encouragement of some sort. Right? So what's the point I'm trying to make? I understand that in this country things work much better in a third world country. But I also understand that every person in their own situation face, in a sense, this sort of dilemma. Do I choose to be completely honest and perhaps advance less? Or do I choose to be a little bit less honest but advance a little bit faster? Right? Maybe not everyone faces this dilemma, but I think it's a common dilemma. So what's my sense? My sense is when you understand that your work is a gift to God, you will always choose to honor God first, even if that means that your business will advance a little bit slower. But this means that you're not forsaken by God, but that God will provide in a different manner. So, let's tie it back to yesterday's reading, to Sunday's reading. So, for those who have good memory, the first reading, right? It's the story of Elijah and the widow. Right? So Elijah comes up to the widow and he tells the widow, give me something to drink. And she was a very poor widow, as most widows were. And then he goes even further and he says, don't only bring me something to drink, give me something to eat. And the widow says, I got nothing to offer you. I am so poor that I'm going to use the little flour that I have. I'm going to feed my son and then I'm going to die. And Elijah says, you choose to feed me and your flour will not run out. The widow made the courageous choice of feeding Elijah, and the text says that the wheat didn't run out and the oil didn't run out. So what's the insight here? The insight is this: people who make courageous decisions and generous decisions that rely solely on God will get to experience God's generosity in the future. Let me repeat this again. Only the people who make courageous decisions of pleasing God, even if it looks like they're keeping nothing to themselves, those are the ones who will be able to experience in the future God's generosity. So my sense is this: those who truly understand their work as a gift, those who truly aspire to holiness, will always choose what's more pleasing to God, even when it looks that this means less advancement for the business. But in the long run, that means that God will always provide in the way that He knows. So let's try to summarize. What have I wanted to share with you tonight as we bring this to an end? My sense is this: there's nothing more meaningful that a person can strive for than holiness. That should be the ultimate goal of our life. So you can ask yourself right now, what is my ultimate goal in life? What do I really strive for? Do I strive for something different than holiness? Is there something greater than I could strive for holiness? When you look for holiness and when you pursue holiness, you understand that everything in your life has to become something that glorifies and worships God. You don't have two different lives, my worship day on Sunday and my weekdays. No, everything becomes an offering to God. So, holiness is useful for business because the first step is that holiness makes our life to have a unity. And holiness makes our business an offering to God, not something that I keep to myself, but an offering to God. When business and when your work is an offering to God, that means that you work better with more perfection. You offer something better, but it also means that you always choose what's right. That you always choose what's right, and then you can be certain that the one who will provide is God and not just men. So let me finish with this. I love the image that Roger used about how the guild is meant to be the ark. And I'm going to use a little bit of that image, but I'm going to give it a twist. Isn't it your sense, brothers and sisters, that if each one of us, think about this vision, if each one of us truly made their work an offering to God, an offering with love, an offering that wants to make the best possible gift, if we always choose what's most pleasing to God, even if wouldn't this build up the kingdom of God in this world? If every single person in the guild worked with this mindset, wouldn't this contribute to the advancement of the kingdom in the world? Wouldn't our effort make St. Paul, Minneapolis a little bit different? Wouldn't we sanctify the worldly structures of the world that you lay people are called to sanctify? Wouldn't the guild be an ark that makes possible the kingdom of the Lord in this world? That's what we're meant to do. It's true, this world will never be perfectly the kingdom because this world is trespassed by sin. But that doesn't mean that each one of you as lay people is meant to advance the kingdom. And I think that this beautiful initiative of the guild, if it fully fleshed out, it would contribute to the advancement of the kingdom. So my encouragement for each one of you is, every single day, offer your work as a sacrifice of praise and worship to the Lord. Do not keep your worship to Sunday, but let worship permeate your whole week. Let it flow from Sunday to your whole week. So make every day your work an offering. Before you start, do a prayer. Lord, I offer you this working day to you. May this working day be pleasing to you. This is my offering. This is all I have to offer you. Second, remember, if you offer someone that you love a gift, you will always give them the best possible gift. So not only make your working day an offering, try to make that gift as beautiful as possible. Try to work as disciplined as possible with as much love as you can, but also try to offer the best possible product in whatever you're doing. And finally, this also means when you make this offering, beautiful offering, always choose what's more pleasing to God, even if it looks like the advancement of your own business is slower. Because then you can be certain that the one that will provide is God, and not just the flesh. I encourage all of you to continue being involved with the guild. Those who are in the fence, to give it a chance. I think if the guild truly manifests its whole potential, it will look as the advancement of the kingdom as it's meant to be, and that's a responsibility of all lay people. Thank you for your attention.